Hello everyone, guitarist Hristo Vitchev here, and please welcome to episode 13 of 251 Ways to Voice a 251. Welcome everyone, we're going to continue episode 13 by harmonizing the 7th degree of our 2 chord. In this case our harmony is D minor 7, and its 7th degree happens to be the note C, which we'll position on the 2nd string 13th fret. In option 1, this is how I would like to harmonize that note. This is my D minor chord for this version of the 251. Now this looks like an F major 7 drop 2 in first inversion, F major over A, but it's also acting as a D minor 9. The voicing is spelled as an A, E, F, and C, and within the D minor 7 harmony, A happens to be our 5th, E is our 9th, F is our flat 3rd, and C is our flat 7th. So I end up with a D minor 9 chord. Again, A is the 5th of D, E is the 9th of D, F is the flat 3rd, and C happens to be our flat 7th. D minor 9. When I move to a G7 from this option, I'm simply going to lower the first note a half step down. So now the A become A flat. I'm going to leave the rest of the voicing the same, and this is going to create a G7 13 sus flat 9. It's a long chord to pronounce. Essentially it's a suspended version of a dominant chord if you play in a minor key. Now, the voicing is spelled now A flat, E, F, and C, and within the G7 harmony, A flat happens to be the flat 9th, E is your 6th or 13th, F becomes our flat 7th, and C it's your suspended note 4th or 11th. G7, 13, suspended flat 9. Now to contrast this G7, I'm going to play a G7 altered voicing in this fashion. Now this voicing is going to be spelled as a B, going to a D sharp or E flat, followed by an F, and then A sharp or B flat. Respectively in the G7 harmony, B is our 3rd, D sharp or E flat is your sharp 5 or flat 13, F is our flat 7th, and the A sharp or B flat functions as your sharp 9. So let me just play those voicings slowly one more time. We start with a D minor, made it into a G suspended, 13 flat 9, a G altered, and I'm now going to resolve to my C major, which is our 1 chord, and I'm going to pick this voicing. Now this voicing is going to be spelled as a B, followed by an E, followed by a G, and followed by an A. So again, B, E, G, A, and this ends up spelling a C major 7 with the 6th degree or the 13th. Now, B happens to be the 7th of C, E is our 3rd, G is our 5th, A is our 6th or 13th. So if I play all the options in this first version of the 251, this is what we have. We started with a D minor 9, resolved that to a G suspended with a flat 9, contrasted that with a G altered, and finished with a C major 7 with a 6 or 13. One more time, we start with a D minor 9, G 13 suspended flat 9, G7 altered, and C major with the 13th, C major 7. If I play this in time, this is what we're going to hear. For the second option I would like to present to you in episode 13, I'm going to harmonize the flat 7th of our D minor chord, which is the note C, in this new way. The voicing is now spelled as an A, going to an F, going to a G, and finishing on that C. Again, one more time, we start on A, F, G, and C. Respectively, in the D minor harmony, A happens to be our 5th, F is our flat 3rd, G is the 4th or 11th, and C happens to be our flat 7th. So we get a D minor 11 sound. When I voice lead this chord into the G7 that follows, I'm going to start with this G7. Now this G7 is spelled as a B, F, A flat, and E, which creates a G13 flat 9. One more time, those notes are B, which happens to be the third of our chord, F, which is now the flat 7th of G, A flat, which is the flat 9, and E, which is the 6 or 13. So I came from this D minor 11, moved to this G7, flat 9, 13. Now I want to contrast that with this voicing for G, which is a bit of a stretch, and it's only possible in this range of the guitar. As you can see, it encompasses quite a few frets. But it's a very cool voicing because it ends up having this very dissonant flat 9 interval, or flat second, minor second interval in the middle. And it's also set up in such a way that, similar to what we've presented in earlier episodes, where the note on the 4th string happens to actually be higher in pitch than the note on the 3rd string. And so when you roll the chord, you get this very cool kind of moving effect within the inner voices. So we'll talk to it specifically in a second. So now this is a G7. The voicing is going to be spelled as a B, going to A flat, then moving down to G, but on a higher string, and then finishing with the note E flat or D sharp. So again we have B, A flat, G, and D sharp or E flat. Now this in the G7 harmony respectively is going to become B is the 3rd, A flat is your flat 9th, G is your root, and D sharp or E flat happens to be your sharp 5 or flat 13. So we produce a G7 flat 9 flat 13 voicing. Again we came from this G7 flat 9 13, and we move to this G7 flat 9 flat 13. And then we're going to resolve to this C major 9 voicing. This is spelled as a C, D, B, and E, respectively, in our C major 7 harmony. C is our root, D is our 9th or 2nd, B is our 7th, and E is our 3rd degree. So if I play the entire progression slowly, this is what we get. We start with a D minor 11, we move to a G7 13 flat 9, to a G7 flat 9 flat 13, and resolve to a C major 9. One more time, D minor 11, G7 13 flat 9, G7 flat 13 flat 9, and resolve to my C major 9. If I play this in time, this is what we'll hear. For the third and last option I would like to present to you in episode 13. This is another way I like to harmonize the flat 7th of a minor chord. I'm going to start with this voicing for D. It's a very stretched voicing that's only possible for me, at least physically, this high up the fretboard. And it also features one of those situations where one of the lower strings has a higher note in pitch than the highest string. And I'll show what I mean by that. This voicing is spelled as a D, F, another D, and C. So I have a repeatable root on the middle of the voicing. Now what happens though is that on the 3rd string I have the note D, on the 2nd string I have the note C, which is a whole step lower. So now you get in one of those situations where when I play the strings, you hear a descending melody, because as you go through your strum or pluck or fingerstyle way of executing the voicing, you're going to hear that melody descend within the middle of your voicing. Now this voicing is spelled again D, F, D, and C, respectively in the D minor 7 harmony. D is our root, F is our flat 3rd, another root D, and C is our flat 7. When I move to a G7 voicing, one thing I like to do is bring that D in the middle of the voicing to a C sharp, and then bring the C, that's the highest part, down to a B. So we end up with a G7 sharp 11, flat 5 voicing. This voicing now is spelled D, F, C sharp, and B, and respectively in the G7 harmony, D happens to be our 5th, F is our flat 7th, C sharp is a sharp 11, and B is your 3rd, G7 sharp 11. I'm going to contrast this with a G7 fully altered, and this voicing I'm spelling as a B, F, A sharp or B flat, and D sharp or E flat. our G7 harmony, B is our third, F happens to be our flat 7, A sharp happens to be the sharp 9th, and E flat or D sharp happens to be the sharp 5 or flat 3rd. So there's a very cool movement between those two dominant 7 chords. From the first version, the G7 sharp 11 to the G7 outer. It's a very cool voice leading. And then we're going to move to a very basic C major 7 for dessert. This is the drop 2 voicing that everybody should be familiar with. This is spelled as a C, G, B, and E, respectively in the C major harmony root, 5th, 7th, and 3rd. Now if I play the full progression very slow, here's what we have. We started with this D minor, move to this G7 sharp 11, G7 fully altered, and C major 7. One more time, we started with this D minor, G7 sharp 11, G7 altered, and C major. If I play all these voicings in time, this is what we'll hear. So now that we have presented all 3 new options for this episode, let me go back one more time and play all of them very slowly so we can review what happened. We started with this D minor 9 in option 1. We moved to a G suspended 13th flat 9, G fully altered, and a C major 13th. One more time, we start with a D minor 9th. We move to a G suspended 13th flat 9, G7 fully altered, sharp 9 flat 13, and resolved to a C major 7 with a 13. In option number 2, we started with D minor 11. We moved to a G 13 flat 9, G flat 13 flat 9, and then we moved to this C major 9. One more time, we started with a D minor 11. We moved to a G7 13 flat 9, G7 flat 13 flat 9, and we resolve to a C major 9. In option number 3, we stretch even further. We start with this D minor 7, we resolve to a G7 sharp 11, to a G7 fully altered, sharp 9 flat 13, and a very basic C major 7 drop 2. One more time, we start with a D minor 7. We resolve to A, G7 sharp 11 or flat 5, G7 sharp 9 flat 13, and C major 7. And if I play all 3 options in time, this is what we'll hear. Thank you so much for watching, and I do look forward to seeing you next in episode 14, where we're now moving our soprano note to the 3rd string, and we're going to explore all 7 possible options to harmonize the degrees, scale degrees and chord degrees of D minor 7th chord, but now in the lowest range of our instrument. Thank you.